What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Josh?
Oh, Justin.
Ba-doom-deem.
Saying the first names.
That's right. That's
The names.
the names our mothers gave us. And shout out to everyone watching and listening on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's pretty cool.
Dude, seriously, how's it going, man?
Real good.
What's up?
I'm super pumped about this song because it came out in like 2013 or 14, and I was in this like transition period.
Yeah.
I hated my job.
Oh,
Completely hated it. And I had done YouTube for
CEO?
a living.
Is he CEO?
This is after that. I had
okay.
6 months where I worked for, well, longer than 6 months, but at a period of time I was doing marketing for a law firm.
Yeah.
And it was just rough, man. I hated it. And it was just like I left the CEO gig. That was a weird thing.
Sure.
And I was like, dude, I've done YouTube for a living. No, I'd done YouTube as a hobby for like 4 years up to that point. And I wanted to like push through and reach some heights that I had only dreamed of. So I was Googling like motivational videos on YouTube. Like I was looking for stuff.
Yeah.
And then Since This Fell has been one of my favorite bands forever. And I came across this song and I was like, dude, this is it, man. So
you hadn't heard it before? You just found it while you were kind of exploring?
Yeah, I just found it.
Wow.
I just found it.
It's God sent.
And it's amazing. Like it's a great song.
Dude. Yeah, so Between the Mountains and the Sea, Senses Fail is the song. And this is I've never really, like, a lot of these songs the songs we're doing today are like songs that are right in my alley, but I never really listened to this much. I've been listening to it like nonstop. Like, it's so good. And it's like, it feels good to like not be like doing like Lizzo, you know, like no offense, but like this is like, this song musically, philosophically, and psychologically like kicked me in the teeth. And it's like,
dude.
I mean, it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. But also, when I was looking up the lyrics for it, there were like question marks on some of the lines on the lyrics on the internet, and a lot of them. And then a lot of them had copied the same thing, so there were question marks in it, and so there were lines missing. And I was like, man. And then another song we're doing, like the lyrics were wrong, and I was like, what about the songs we don't really listen to a lot?
Yeah.
Like, how many of those are just screwed up? And you just put lyrics out there, and people are just going to copy paste. It's just going to proliferate out there.
Dude, these websites don't care. They just want you to show up. They get the ad revenue.
Yeah.
It's like whatever.
Well, now Google's stealing that by just putting the lyrics right on the front page of Google. And that's like a whole thing.
That's a whole thing.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah, you mentioned that a while ago.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I mean, just like a year ago, I remember talking to you about that.
Like, pretty soon they're just going to put your song up there from Google and not give any credit to the artist.
Yeah. All right, should we jump in here?
Yeah, man.
Verse
Let's
1.
do it.
And do you ever ask yourself if the person that you are is the person you were meant to be, or were you afraid to go that far? Or
whatever.
I think it's supposed to be, or are you afraid to go that far?
Or are you afraid?
Are
you too afraid to go that far?
Woo!
I mean,
to look.
I want to hear about yours.
To look in the mirror and to say like, to get to that point where you're like, is this who I want to be? Like, this is where I'm at, but is this who I want to be? Because who I am today has nothing to do with what I'm doing today.
Sure.
Who I am today has everything with what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
And that takes courage. So Buddy is saying.
Yeah. And meant. That I like meant to be. And that's like a really like.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. That's an idea you can like take as far as you want, right? Like, the meaning, is there meaning? Are you supposed to be following in the footsteps of some kind of like, this is an idea I've always been bouncing around. Like, do you just have like this gelatin of a person that you get to form? Is there something that's already pre-formed that you're like moving into, right? Or do you get to create the whole thing? Like, what are you? Like, where? And it's not really a question that has an answer. And I try to read a lot of like psychology stuff, and they kind of have their own ideas about like, what are your ideals and what's your ideal self?
Right.
And then you mention like going back to those places where like you weren't. And it's funny when you feel like you kind of are, you're like, am I? right? But when you're not, you know it.
You know
like
it.
you're
Yeah.
And I can think back. If I think back, I'm like, there were times when I was like, this is not what I'm gonna do. This is not what I want to be.
Right.
And now that I'm further down that road, it's kind of less.
Right.
Like I think about it a lot, but it's not as hard. It doesn't hit as hard because I feel like I'm on that path.
Definitely.
That's like kind of interesting because I don't have very good memory. I don't feel like I think of my past a lot.
Right.
So hearing you talk about that too, like just talk about being in that spot. That's the worst spot.
It is, man.
Bad work, bad jobs, and as we talked about before, bad relationships.
Yep.
Those two things, they hurt.
Yeah. It's hard to escape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because courage is to walk through the valley of your thoughts, and in the desert that you fear, sit down with open ears. So he's saying it takes courage to, what I think he's saying is it takes courage to confront yourself.
I'm looking at you like, are you right or wrong? I'm going to jump on you if you're wrong here.
It takes courage to face yourself in the desert that you fear. But if you have the courage to do that, sit down and listen up, because he's got some beauty for you to behold here in a moment.
Yeah. So, and this just reminds me so much of Buddhist thought here.
Oh, okay.
Because this stanza is meditation to me, right? It takes courage to be in your thoughts. So there's that whole idea of like the world would change so vastly if everybody could be alone with their own thoughts for 30 minutes or whatever the thing is, right?
Yeah.
And these are ideas that I feel like I hear and I don't understand how they relate, because I don't understand how people could be that way.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm constantly in my own thoughts, and I try to do meditation personally a lot. And the desert, your fear. So you're facing your thoughts, you're facing your fears, and you're sitting down and you're being open to whatever like comes to you in those moments. Yeah. So.
Whoa. Yeah, I like it.
My thoughts. There's a lot of what I would consider Buddhist thought throughout this song. So.
Sure.
So I'll read this next part. Because we were made to wander between the mountain and the sea, this body is a vessel to have eternally. So coming from the biblical side, what I remember learning is that mountains, seas, all these things are like metaphors for something that's strong and solid and doesn't move, right? So a mountain doesn't really move. A sea doesn't move. These are things. And we're wandering between solid ground. We're in this unsolid place, right? Nothing about us is solid. It's all changing. It's all something we can change, and we're always going to be wandering in and out. We're never going to be like solid.
Wow.
We're just malleable.
Right.
And the next part, I guess that's where I'm like, okay, I don't. I mean, I think eternity, there's like the idea that eternity is inside of you right now. And like, I was actually just listening to some of Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. He kind of talked about that a lot. Right. But the body is a vessel to have eternally. I don't know, maybe just a good line.
And this is another situation where the lyrics are different, because mine has yours? To house eternity.
Oh, see, that's what I thought it said in the lyrics.
Oh, interesting.
When I was listening to the song over and over. So I'm glad we got different lyrics. That's good, because that fits more in with what I thought he was saying, right? That eternity is within you. You have it in you right now, all of the world, all of consciousness, all of time, right? Like the body that we live in is the linear part, right? But like our consciousness is not. It exists in eternity. It will always exist. Something like, once again, in Buddhism, right? You pop out of it and you come back in as something else, or like you just transform. Right. Like consciousness is something that's transforming, and you just kind of, you're taking on this vessel currently. Wow. So at least it fits the lyrics. I'm not saying these are things that are true.
No.
I'm just saying these are things that the lyrics are saying.
These are the things that come. These are the things that come to mind as one would listen to these songs. Like their mind, your mind wanders, and you try to figure out like what he means. And even even if he doesn't mean any of the things we're talking about, that's the beauty of art, is we get to interpret it in our own way and find ways.
I like when I hear a song where I'm like, I wouldn't mind having a conversation with the lead singer, like as a person. Yeah. Right. Like you have something interesting about you that I feel like I can relate to.
For sure.
Maybe not so much with like, Eminem. Like it, love the lyrics.
Yeah.
Don't know if I could relate to the guy very much,
not.
you know.
Yeah.
He's from 8 Mile. I'm from like, you know, middle class. Like, I'm not there.
Yeah. No, he's seen things that we haven't seen.
Sure, but this guy, you know.
Yeah.
He's in the
about it.
He's in the psychological realm.
So, what are you gonna do when everything you love is taken right away from you? And what are you gonna do if the person that you thought you were is not the person you knew? And then he repeats that.
Oof.
There are times when you're in one is in a stressful situation, or there's so many times where people are under pressure and you react in a way that's surprising to yourself, positive or negative, and surprises those around you. And that's kind of what I got from that was, you know, and as someone who's like freaking lost everything a time or two in his adult life, like I get what
Thanks
it's
to
like.
Your mother-in-law. For the prayers.
Oh yeah. I was like, what? I got prayed against, and
you got prayed against.
Yeah,
you got prayed against.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? that fell right in line with the 2008 financial crisis. So
is that when you lost? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, around there.
The most.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oof.
I'd say so.
Man,
I mean, it's tough. And so what are you going to do when everything you love, I don't love things, but like everything you have is gone. And what are you going to do? Yeah.
Well, and you were your position is so much different than mine because I was 15 grand in debt at one point in my life, but I was single. And like that difference between did you have a kid at the time or you just married?
Yeah.
You had a kid?
Yeah.
Just one?
Yeah.
And then you went through that whole downturn and you lost your house, right? And you lost
everything, man. Oh. We had a car. But I started, like, I had this decent job in real estate, and then that just shut off. And so I was serving pizzas at a pizza place.
Oh, man.
And, dude, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to just keep pressing.
That's kind of what this is like. I mean, you were willing, you know, you're willing to continue to try to be like, you're not going to let that knock you down. No. Like, and you're an idol of, like, perseverance. You know, you're one of the hardest working people that I know, and I've always really admired that about you, and I try to like put that into my own life, you know, because it's good to take those things from the people around you.
Sure.
And you know, this song is, I mean, just trying to imagine what you had to go through. It's like I said, I've been at the bottom, but I was alone, and that's easy. Like, what are they gonna do?
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
I can always go swipe my credit card at Taco Bell. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, and you know, 15 grand in debt, that, you know, that's a lot of money. But around that same time, I knew people who had $100,000 in credit card debt.
Oh yeah,
100 plus student loans.
Man,
screw that.
Well, and I was trying to start a buess.
All right.
So I felt like this will end well for me in the long run. This is just an investment into I was trying to start a business. I mean,
right.
I guess
you know,
running around the country isn't always, but I had some stuff going for me. I felt like.
Well, in the two things that I've done that have been the most, like my startups that have been the most successful, are things I spent no money on.
Yeah.
But the things that I've poured money into have just flopped.
See, and I'm the same way, but it also, I feel like I shouldn't be afraid. So if we're talking about facing our fears a little, I shouldn't be afraid of things that do start with money.
Yeah.
Even though I'm in the same position as you, like
I
feel like everything that's worked for me started with zero.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not always.
No, it's not always the case. That's not a universal principle. It's just
But I know what you mean. Well, and I wouldn't wonder if a lot of the stuff that you did that you put money into, it wasn't your time. You were kind of trusting other people to. Maybe. And what's worked for you is that when you do it, you know you're controlling the full gambit. Yeah. And that's why those things work, because you're putting in 100% of yourself.
Right.
And I think some of the stuff you've invested in with people who aren't 100% kind of people. So it's like, you know.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, and then, you know, we kind of talked about this on another one. What are you going to do when everything you love is taken from you? But I've actually heard a lot, like lately I've been thinking a lot about the story of Job, just kind of as a metaphor and as an analogy. And that's one of those things. I don't like the pretense of the story with, you know, God and Satan, whatever. But like, there's a story of a guy who decided to be positive with everything lost. And, you know, like things can turn around.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, and then the person you thought you were is not the person that you knew. I feel like I've gone through that a little bit as far as like discovering. I think personally, I've had to go through this transformation where the things I wanted to be aren't in aligned with the things that I actually am. And I've had to kind of change over and say, you know, these things that I actually naturally am good at and naturally like geared towards, you know, I wanted to be a musician for a long time, right? And I'm good at guitar and stuff, but I'm not. I don't enjoy the process of writing music, and it took me like 10 years to figure out that if you don't enjoy the process of something, then you're not that person that you think you want to be, and you're constantly trying to push yourself through this square peg, right? Circle through the square peg, and eventually you have to start trying to figure out like, what am I? What do I actually enjoy doing, and how do I merge up with that ideal?
Sure,
because that's how you're going to get the most, you know, land under your feet, the most distance under you.
Yes.
Is if you have that wind behind you.
Yes.
You know?
I'm all about it.
So, you got nothing to lose. You got nothing. Do not wait till angels sing, and don't fear the unknown road. What is diamond once was coal.
So, don't wait till angels sing has two meanings to me. One, don't wait till you're dead.
Okay.
Because a lot of people just procrastinate. Well, I procrastinate.
Sure.
I'm not going to put this on everyone else. It's me too.
Well,
like
if you do, then everyone does.
And the other thing is, a lot of people are waiting for a sign from God or some like thing to trigger them to take this action. But if your heart and your mind, if your heart and your mind are saying the same thing, take action. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Sometimes my mind is like, oh, that's a good idea. But my heart's like, oh, I really don't want to do that. Okay, I shouldn't be involved with that situation.
Sure. And the other way.
Yeah.
Your heart, but not your mind.
Yeah.
That's the one I struggle with the most, because I actually just took one of those openness personality tests to tell you like your openness, your neuroticism, your agreeableness. I'm high in neuroticism. So that means my emotions are all over the place.
Sure.
And so I always struggle with that idea of like my emotions are telling me to do something when my brain is telling me not to do it. And that's so hard though to like be like, these don't match. It's like O, X, doesn't work. Just move on.
Yeah.
You know, but then you return to the same argument in your head over and over again.
Right.
This Wait Till Angels Sing, to me, it reminds me of a lot of the experience I had. And like, I grew up, you know, so religious that, and there's one, man, this is too much information. This has too many good lyrics.
It's such a good song.
There was a quote I read in a Tim Ferriss book. It's his tool. No, it's the one where he emailed a bunch of people who were all awesome people and they responded.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Such a good book.
Yeah.
One of the people said, if you want to understand like who you are and what you want, think back to your childhood. What story was the one story that you were obsessed with, that you loved? And that tells you a lot about yourself. And mine was the Mormon story of Ammon.
Okay.
And so I've always been throughout my
Do you want to tell a little bit of the story?
So just like, you know, the guy, they're called by God. God talks to his friend and they all know that like God's real now, right? They have that certainty. And then they go out and they go on missions and they go convert people with like the power of God, right? So I always wanted to be the person who like, this told me like, and I've seen this in a lot of like my own therapy that I've gone through. I'll call it therapy. Where I wanted to know that God was real and I wanted to like just dedicate my life to doing that. And so do not wait till angels sing tells me like, don't wait until you have a sign from the heavens to do something because it's not going to come. And I spent so much of my life through my teen years, I think through my 20s a lot, like looking for this certainty of like knowing that this thing, so I could go do the thing that I, in my head, had been implanted in me as a kid that I really wanted to do. And I was waiting for this thing. So that just, it reminded me of like that quote and the stories. Like I said, the stories from your kid, like think back to the stories that affected you the most and how those have like interplayed in your life. And this is kind of a lesson I've been learning over the last 7 years is like, like you were saying, you can't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't fear the unknown road. you have to go into the unknown if you want to do something better than what you have. Like, you just have to jump into that, because what is diamond once was coal? Like, we all started out.
Right.
Maslow says that your ideal self is at first insanely weak. And unlike other animals who are just like going off of their instincts and who are kind of just born strong, like, you know, a lion comes out and it's like rolling around and fighting with its siblings in like a couple days. We're like nothing. And your ideal self is that way too. And it takes small, little, tiny steps into the fear and into the unknown to start building that tenacity and that strength to become something so much greater than you are.
Wow.
That diamond that once was coal. And that's always been an idea that's, you know, hit hard for me. So
I love that. That's awesome.
This song is insane, man.
So your story that meant a lot to you when you were a kid was the story of Ammon. Mine was Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah?
Because the witch's house was made of like gingerbread and there was candy all over it. And I remember just thinking like, dude, I could deal with a wicked witch. Like, if I could nibble on her house. And why are they dropping bread? Like, I was a kid, I was like, dude, I'll eat those carbs.
Don't
like,
freaking throw the bread out.
Throw the bread out. And how bad is the witch? Like, maybe she just misunderstood. Like, let's just eat the freaking gingerbread house that she lives in. That sounds great.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That just shows like it shows you like a level of like fear that you're willing to deal with for something that you want. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares about that fear thing?
Right.
I'm
gonna eat the gumdrops off of her house.
Did you have the like full real story that you read?
No.
Or is it just the idea of like,
it was just like a 6-page book.
Yeah. So just the idea of like candy and like a witch.
Yeah.
I could handle it.
Yeah, like how bad is she? How bad is she? Like, my school teachers were pretty rough too. But my parents willingly made me go there.
Dude,
all right.
Too much, man.
So I love this next line. This is where the song picks up a little bit. And I just want to scream it, but I can't do it as good as
I can't do
he does.
screams. I wish
I've tried.
I know, right?
I've tried so many times.
Bathroom/car, trying to figure out how to scream. It's like, you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
That's just like, I don't know. I thought I had the angst, but I couldn't get it out.
There is a devil in the cold, dark streets. He lives on starving and suffering.
Leaves us, right? He leaves us.
He leaves us starving and suffering. And there's a weakness that we cannot see, for we all feel it, and it is deep. And there is nothing that'll set us free except silence and inner peace. There is a passion that we all must seek, but we are silent and we are weak.
Okay, let me just...
I got the chills.
Mine says, and there is nothing that will set us free. It's the silence and inner beast. Did you say beast?
Except
peace?
Silence and inner peace.
And mine says, it's the silence and the inner beast. There's a passion that we all must seek, but we are silent and we are weak. Wow. So, devil in the cold, dark streets leaves us starving and suffering. There's a weakness that we cannot see, and we feel it, and it is deep.
Phenomenal. There's a devil in the cold, dark streets. Kind of the epitome of, call it the devil or call it just the way things are. If you're lazy and if you're not confronting your fears, if you're not willing to look at yourself and walk through that desert of fear, you're going to end up starving and suffering because there's a weakness that we can't see. We feel it. It's deep. And you need that, if these lyrics are right, the silence and inner peace of self-reflection to achieve where you want to go.
I can't determine whether I feel like either of those mistaken lyrics is more
right.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
No, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No, truthfully, one of them is probably right.
What does yours say again? Except
silence and nothing will set us free except silence and inner peace.
Okay. I like that.
Either way, the thing is this. Someone listened to this song and got that out of it. What you have on paper.
I don't think so. I think somebody copied and pasted it.
And it's amazing. It's amazing.
So, I mean, yeah. So coming back to kind of that same idea we've been talking about, like there's a devil out there. We're all dying, right? And we're all weak. And the only thing that sets us free is silence and inner peace that we have to seek on our own through passion. Through passion, I think, being like the main thing there. And like the hardest thing for us to do is to speak up because we're weak. And I think that is so hard to do. It is so hard to speak up.
Sure. What type of scenarios are you talking?
Against the beast out there, right? Everything evil in the world that's taking us over because we're giving into it because of our weakness, and we're doing the easy thing instead of the hard thing. And we're not following our passion, and we're not speaking up to those around us about how doing hard things and being first weak. I think this is something that's going on like heavily today, I think. People are trying to make excuses and trying to get government involved or whatever involved in saying that it's okay to be crappy. It's okay to be like weak, and that everyone's weak and we're all weak and it's okay. You should be there and you should be okay with being there, instead of saying, no, like we all are weak. Sure, we all start out weak, and it's freaking hard to be passionately strong, but like it takes each individual. Like there's nothing that's done on a group scale. It takes you doing it 100% for you, and you taking 100% responsibility for the world around you, and me taking 100% responsibility for, and this guy, like all of us have to be like building ourselves to the hero. I mean, it goes back to the hero myth of finding that thing, beating your inner demon, fighting your inner dragon, and like breaking free from the weakness that you are into the passion by seeking that passion. And I just think there's no idea that struck me deeper than Joseph Campbell's idea of the hero myth. And I didn't even learn about it until my 30s, really, like in a way that could strike me. But that like he says, follow your bliss. If you're not following your bliss, then what happens? You're going to stay weak. And you're going to stay silent because you don't have anything to say.
That, I swear that's a lyric in a Census Fail song, Follow Your Bliss.
This is Census Fail, right?
Yeah.
You're saying another one?
Yeah, is that in here or is that... oh, yeah. No, I swear, I wonder if he listens to, or is Joseph Campbell
this is
fan.
like...
This is it.
All up that... I mean, Joseph Campbell's the Buddhist, into the Buddhism, into the like total mythologies, right? Like all mythologies, not just one.
Right.
Christianity, Buddhism... Islam, like all of them have the what?
It's the name of one of their albums. Yeah, dude. Wow.
It's called what?
Follow Your Bliss.
Yeah.
Wow. Like they're into Joseph Campbell.
So,
sweet.
I mean, so then basically I can just say things that I think are true, and they are true because they called the album.
Well, you said that. I was like, Follow Your Bliss. Where have I heard this? And that's where. It's not from Joseph Campbell. I mean, it is from Joseph Campbell, but through them.
Through Census Fail.
Yeah.
He got it from Census Fail. And then
no, definitely not.
Love it. Not. And so I love, I mean, this is like a core idea that I think about a lot. And I love this idea. I mean, it's just like, I love it.
Have you watched the music video?
No, I didn't watch the music video.
Oh, you should.
Okay. Yeah. I'll watch it.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'll watch it a million times. I mean, the song's so good, man.
One last question. I love the song too. Have you seen the documentary Tickled?
Tickled? No, I did not watch it. I've heard about it, and I've heard that it's like the weirdest thing in the whole world.
Dude, please watch it. Please watch it.
Okay.
Please watch it. And I hate being tickled. Do you like being tickled?
Like it?
I would rather be punched in the face than be tickled.
I don't think I have like a...
Oh, dude, it makes
See,
me
now, from the first episode, people are going to come punch me in the face.
Yeah.
And from the other episode now, from this, people are just going to come up to you and just tickle you.
Oh, my gosh. I was like nauseous watching this documentary. Anyways, you got to watch it.
Like in the ear is like the worst. That's the one I hate.
I just hate. I mean, everywhere.
Just altogether.
Altogether.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just terrible.
I mean, I don't think I get tickled enough to continue to hate it, but I can understand where you're coming from.
That's amazing. This is a great song. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And
I'm still blown away by this. So you're gonna have to exit.
So good.
Outro this.
We'll see you guys. We'll see ya. Thanks.